You'll always hear your whole life, if you're trying to get in shape or lose some weight, you'll always hear diet and exercise. And you hear it because it's true. But one thing that you miss, and one thing that even the teachers fail to tell you, is it's diet and exercise in that order. It's not exercise, then it's diet and exercise. And I only bring that to you because I led a life that was so exercise heavy. The diet didn't really matter. If I had a weigh-in coming up and you got to weigh a certain thing, I mean, we're having a different conversation, calories in versus calories out. But for the most part, to look fit or to feel as though you were fit, I just had such an overwhelming amount of exercise that was added into my life that the diet was able to come separate. What I will tell you is as I've gotten older, or as I've removed myself from competition, which also means I've removed myself from such vigorous training, that diet starts to be more and more relevant. And the big thing going around the world is the low carb / no carb. And I must tell you from my own experience, that's right. Just lowering your carbs, you're not going to have the same kind of effect as you would if you were to go no carb. Or people that are heavy on protein or even on fats. Some could be unsaturated, saturated, some could be healthy fats, but the protein and fat also seems to get a little bit lost because you can throw the entire formula out of whack with the carbs. If you go no carbs, okay, great, your weight's going to fall off like a stone. You're going to have to deal with cravings and some other things, but that's tomorrow's conversation. The trouble that I have ran into is some of my favorite foods, like I'll just give you an example, is a sandwich. I'm a sandwich guy. If you ever invite me to lunch or say, let's get lunch, or call me and tell me you're having lunch, I'm just going to assume sandwich. I've never in my life gone to a restaurant at lunch and like ordered a real meal and a baked potato over here. It just wouldn't work that way. At lunchtime, you eat a sandwich. So what are you going to do if you can't have the bread? Right? I mean, you're going to have to make some changes, but what do you do? And then the same thing would come down to, if you ask me my favorite meal, I would probably say, if it was a genre, I would probably say Italian. So now you're talking about breads and pastas. Well, what do you do? And my wife has been trying various things, and I am not the guy ever that would come to you and go, oh, this tastes great, right? You know, the jerk that does that, they're drinking like a kale, like blended up kale with some celery and carrots. They're like, oh, I just love it so much. It's delicious. Like, I don't know what. First off, I don't know why you're telling me that. And I also don't want message you're attempting to tell me about yourself by saying that you think that. That looks disgusting. It smells disgusting. It looks like mud. There's a cup of it. You've held the cup for 2 hours. I mean, if it tasted good at all, if it was anything that you're saying it was, you would have smashed that down in 10 minutes like you would a normal milkshake or a Coca-Cola or something that actually tastes good. I'm just not the guy. I'm just not the guy that's ever going to tell you, so, oh, this tastes great. I'll put a comma on it. It tastes great for being healthy. It tastes great for being on a diet. Found 2 things, and they taste great, period. Period. And it's also found, what are you going to do for the bread? Which was for me. If you're going to eat a sandwich, what are you going to do for the bread? What are you going to put your meat and cheese and tomato and lettuce, right? I love a burger, guys. But the burger is the worst part of the burger. And anybody that's a real burger lover would be able to tell you that. You'll always meet people who will mistake a big meal for a good meal. Oh man, this place is great. They give you triple the serving. It's like, okay, well, we're having 2 different conversations. Is it a good value or is it good tasting? I will just bring that to you as an example because the worst part of a burger is the burger. How fresh was the lettuce? Were the onions chopped and shredded? Were they red onion or were they yellow? I mean, there's all sorts of questions, but it's the fixings that are good. So if you're a sandwich guy like me, basically I need the bread just to keep my fingers clean, right? Between the sauces and the mustard and the relish, I need something to keep my fingers clean. So here's what my wife stumbled onto. And I want to give her all the credit, but I will admit she was reading recipes and doing research and then had to get in the lab and come up with it herself. But she's found a bread, miniature waffle iron. That's what it's going to look like if you find it. It's a miniature waffle iron. And the only ingredients she's putting in, there's cheese and there's egg. And you whip that, you put that in, and you do it just like a waffle. You make 2 of those, and now you have your breads. You put your ham and your turkey and your provolones. You put everything in there. You crush it. Now you have something to hold, and it is so good. And because of the cheese being a major ingredient, it's even a little greasy, right? A good sign of a good burger or sandwich is when you're done, right? That's a good sign. A little something running down here. That's a good sign. And you get all of that, plus you don't have any carbs. So last night, my wife discovers how she's going to make a lasagna while remaining low to no carb. And it was very similar. It was very, very similar in how she made the layers of the pasta. Because if you do think about it, Italian food as a whole is very low carb, except for the bread and the pasta, which is one of the key ingredients. But the rest of it, in terms of your sauces, some of that's real fresh tomatoes, those carbs are okay. It's a little bit different, right? Fructose is not the same as high fructose corn syrup. Then you've got the different meats, whether that's going to be some beefs or whether it's going to be some cutlets or whether that's going to be pork. You just got to figure out what you're going to do for the noodles. So here's what she did for noodles. And I knew this was going to work as soon as she told me the ingredients. But it was a lot like what she had used for the sandwich bread and the waffle maker, except for instead of using like a cheddar cheese, it called for cream cheese. So the three ingredients that went into the layers, I wish I had this. If I had this for you, not only did it look perfect, but the ingredients for what turned out to be pasta, which created layers for us to put our sauces in between: cream cheese, milk, but like a cream style milk, and egg. Well, once you blend it, there's a way to lay that, there's a way to bake that, and there's a way to turn that into sheets. So she turns that into about 5 sheets, and all of a sudden you're just putting your lasagna in between. I mean, I'm tasting it and going, I wouldn't know this was healthy. But there was nothing about it that's healthy. And a lot of the health foods that we have been doing, particularly as of late, do have a hint of something. Now, I can live with it, and I choose to have it, but at the same time, I know. If it was going to be my earned meal, a lot of people call it a cheat meal. Mike Dolce taught me it's called an earned meal. You have to earn it. I would not be electing to eat those foods. Guys, I swear to you, I swear, and I have nothing to sell you, by the way. This doesn't like come with a promo code. This is so good. It was so good that I would not have even known that it was low carb. Now, the other side of it is you eat a lot of it, and 30 minutes later, you're going to want seconds. You're going to be hungry. That's one of the things with low carbs. It's kind of hard to get full. It's kind of hard to maintain being full. But I've asked her, I said, could we just have this all the time? And lasagna is a lot like a pie. You guys ever had a berry pie, a homemade berry pie? One thing that you'll find is it's better the second day. When the juices of, say, the Marion berries or of the blackberries that maybe you'll pick, when the juices marry with the crust the second day, not only will it taste better, but the texture actually becomes different. I maintain for you lasagnas the same way. A second day lasagna where you pull the pan out and you cut into it and you zap it in the microwave, I would just maintain for you day 2 is better than day 1. So I was asking I said, Brittany, please. And I realize, like anything, we'll get tired of it over time, but I feel as though I could get my weight completely under control and get down to the way I want to look and what I want to weigh if I just eat this damn lasagna that's wonderful. I also, weird ism, but if you guys haven't tried it, I've suggested this to a few people. I've got some good feedback over the years. I like to introduce cottage cheese to any Italian meal. So if it's spaghetti, I like a little cottage cheese in there. If it's lasagna, I like cottage cheese. And some people think that sounds weird, so they won't try it, but it's very nice. And I'm to the extent where I love spaghetti, but if I don't have cottage cheese, I don't even want it. And I could relate that to, say, Mexican food. I love Mexican food, but if you don't have sour cream, I'm out. I don't want the nacho, the fajita, the tostada if you don't have sour cream. And the same thing would go with Italian food. Try a little cottage cheese on there, but consider that recipe that I'm telling you. And if you do try to eat a little healthy, the one thing about that in America, it's a little bit inconvenient. There's not a fast food you can whip in through or a convenience store where you can pop in and grab it. It does require a little bit of effort. But once you find those ingredients, and once you find ways to kind of cheat the system, in my case, cheat the bread or to cheat the pasta, man, it feels good. It's a home run. It's helped me. If that helps you guys, take it and run with it.